Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another Inside Lowell podcast, my big fat Lowell podcast, coming to you from the WellPoint studios here in downtown Lowell. WellPoint is the only health plan offering healthcare benefits exclusively to Massachusetts GIC members. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. And we thank our friends at WellPoint for helping to make this podcast possible. I am your host for today's show, my Big Fat Lowell podcast, Teddy Panos, joined by you're now like my most frequently recurring guest on a Big Fat Lowell podcast, Asa Stutz.
Thanks for having me.
Part of the Power Hour.
It's good to be back.
Also here on Inside Lowell. It's good to have you here. As we teased people last time, we're going to start doing this with a little more regularity. Start to mix in some live shows as we did last time as well. Because Lord knows there's a ton of stuff happening
always
here in the city of Lowell, including breaking news bright and early this morning that we just posted on Inside Lowell maybe about an hour ago. We're recording this, by the way, on Monday morning, December 9th of 2024, and a lot of big stuff happening, some that people are unaware of, some that people aren't aware of and apparently not interested in, but they really should be.
True. And
even international events that are connected right here to the Mill City as well. So we're going to get to all of that today with Asa Stutz. And first, want to thank all of our Inside Lowell podcast sponsors for helping to make this show, all of our Inside Lowell podcasts possible. Of course, we mentioned WellPoint. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. Our friends at the Washington Savings Bank, a community bank in every sense of the word. Make the switch now to Washington Savings Bank. TMI Properties, quality and value at every price point. Find your perfect space with TMI. Mahoney Oil, providing warmth and protection to Greater Lowell and Southern New Hampshire since 1925. In other words, a month from now, they'll be able to say for a century. Francis E. Preventure Insurance of Lowell, the agency Greater Lowell has counted on since 1982. Real Estate Ray Booten, licensed real estate agent and appraiser in both Massachusetts and New Hampshire. If you're looking to buy or sell a residential or commercial property, Real Estate Ray Booten is your man. And let's not forget the Massachusetts Pirates, bringing all the hard-hitting action and excitement of arena football to the Mill City. And with that, we get back to our guest, Asa Stutz. So Asa, the news that broke this morning, Enterprise Bank and Trust, founded right in downtown Lowell, has been sold to Independent Bank Corp, I believe, is the parent company, but Rockland Trust is the name that some folks may be familiar with
they're expanding
in Massachusetts, but brand new player here in Lowell.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Did you or anyone see that coming besides the bank executives?
So I'll be honest, I've been suspicious seeing Chase Bank popping up. They popped up on Drum Hill, and I'm like, all right, that's a vibrant business community. And then Chase Bank took an old Dunkin' Donuts on the VFW Highway, Bridge Street.
Yeah, that was an interesting one.
And made that a branch or a location. I'm like, Chase Bank isn't coming here for no reason. They're following some money, or they're buying a player. They're trying to buy a presence in the area. And I thought that I wonder which of the local big ones that they would be purchasing, right? Would it be a Lowell 5? Would it be an Enterprise? Would it be a Salem 5, which has gone through a number of changes?
Washington, look at your mug right here.
No. Washington Savings Bank, they're staying local. These are my peeps. These are a community bank right here.
30 Middlesex Street.
Only 2 locations. So, they have, they're a true community banks. These others have grown. Enterprise to the point where they have now 27 offices in the area or branch locations.
Yeah, multiple states.
In the area. And an entire block of downtown Lowell.
What happens there?
And this is where the conversation goes. So literally the announcement, I guess, broke overnight in some of the Financial Times, which is how somebody tipped me off to that bright and early this morning. Shortly thereafter, Boston Business Journals and Wires were picking things up. And I'm told that at 8:45 this morning, there was a quote unquote emergency Zoom meeting.
And that was with the employees?
With the employees.
According to the press release, I think they said they were doing a conference call right now.
Rockland Trust at 10 a.m. Right. So that's probably going on as we speak.
So the employees found out at 45 roughly.
Apparently, however,
I'm
when
not saying that as a negative, but
so I'm writing this story.
it's
Now, it's
happening
about
fast.
8:15 in the morning. I've been tipped off. I've got the story, but now I'm trying to get a little background on Enterprise Bank, and I'm like, all right, enterprisebank.com in the computer, pop up, and there it is. We're merging, or I forget how it was worded, with Rockland Trust. Click here to learn more. I clicked there, and I get taken to a Rockland Trust site. So it was on the website bright and early in the morning. Somebody loaded that. And knew about it a few days in advance, but the employees just found out. And as you said, it begs the question now, what happens to those 27 offices / branch locations that they have? And what I'm really concerned about here in downtown Lowell, what I'm really interested in here in downtown Lowell, what happens to that block of offices that starts on the corner of Merrimack and Shattuck Street, the original Enterprise Bank location, and now extends all the way down to Palmer Street and even across where they kind of have a community area and more offices on the corner of Palmer and
Mill. Well, the Army recruiting place. They kind of taken over. Well, they haven't taken over, but they're there now.
So you're far more worldly than I am, Asa. Am I am I naive if I think that it'll probably stay business as usual, at least in downtown Lowell, and some of the other 27 branch locations change operations or whatnot? Or should I be comforted knowing that they're not touching it?
The press release saying it'll still have a presence in downtown Lowell. Does that mean the headquarters is there? Right now, the headquarters is essentially below us, right there.
Yeah.
Will it stay as the headquarters, or does that get consolidated? Because, their mailroom, their printing shop, their whole operation, it's right there.
What is their current corporate offices is there. Well,
right.
Now the corporate office is somewhere, Rockland or wherever
Enterprise,
they have it, right?
Is that still Enterprise, or is it going to full change its name?
Yeah, right. Again, that's a question. As of right now, we don't know.
Yeah.
We may be getting the answers to that.
If it switches, then it's a threat probably to the, the customized printing that happens in the mailroom here, because that's where the Enterprise stuff comes from.
Oh, lots of money for the printing companies, the logos.
But if there's no more Enterprise, then everything can be done out of their spot, and that's that. Who knows? That's a wild one. That's a weird one.
So a lot of questions.
Yeah.
A lot of questions, and usually we know some of the answers, but
not great below. I don't see how it is.
I'm concerned. I'd like to see something come out, a little bit more information, but the masses are always the last to know. Sometimes the employees are the last.
It's Monday morning. Like, there's definitely someone that's hungover from the weekend, waking up and still doesn't know that their bank got sold.
I posted the story online, and then I can always kind of check the metrics to see how many people are reading the website, each story, where they're actually reading it from. And there's this big green dot over there in Ireland.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking either some poor vacationing, VP in Ireland who just found out now, or maybe because of the link to the Financial Times article that I also included in the story. They're a UK organization, so maybe just coincidentally there. But it's this time of year could be some anxious people. I've already talked to a couple of folks who know employees. One who I know myself, and they're like, we don't know any information. We don't know what's going on.
And according to your story, according to the press release, Mr. Duncan is going to stay on for another year.
George Duncan, the principal founder of the bank, along with a bunch of others back in 1989. I was one of the original stockholders. I made a killing off that stock.
He's kind of a Lowell legend just because of this.
Yes.
Is he from Lowell? Or
yep. George Duncan is Lowell.
So he's
yes.
If he's not on the Mount Rushmore of Lowell, he's on that. He's in the. That tier. He's up there.
George Duncan,
Lowell bankers,
the Wallaces,
for sure.
Bob Caruso, like that era, 80s, 90s, and into the turn of the century. Legend.
Yep.
And still very actively involved, even though he was no longer the president.
Super generous with the charities.
He and his wife, Carol Duncan, of course, another legend. She's no longer with us, but they're well known. They're Lowell through and through.
Yeah.
100% through and through. He's going to serve, it appears, on the board, in some high-ranking position on the board of Independent Bancorp, or we'll call it Rockland Trust from here on out.
Yeah.
The current CEO, I believe, Stephen LaRochelle, also has got like a 1-year contract or something to continue to serve. And then the Rockland Trust press release states that 2 other execs, unnamed, are going to end up on the board of directors of Rockland Trust.
All right.
So they'll have some
I wonder how
say
many
in the
board seats
leadership.
there are.
Right, exactly. These are all the questions. Is this
If it's
like
4, great. It's a merger. If it's 9 and you've got 2, then we kind of know what.
And if
happens.
it's just for 1 year, it's like, here's your golden parachute because
Yeah.
you know you're gone in a year,
Yeah.
right? There's no need for 2 COOs or CEOs.
Yeah. No.
So-
We haven't even really it's just happened. So we haven't thought about the charitable aspect of it. Like that
yes,
we'll get to, but
right.
that's where it hurts Lowell
Yeah.
even more so. I mean, all of it doesn't mean they're gone and leaving and everything. They could do business. They'll still have a massive presence and they'll still have
sure.
that branch will still be there. It just might not be as big. We're purely speculating, but anything that hurts enterprise hurts Lowell.
Again, 27 locations. I can think of one out in Chelmsford, a bunch all over the area.
tell
They
you where
go
they are.
Nashua, right?
They're in Salem, New Hampshire. They're everywhere.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you need all of them?
Yes, you do.
I think you do. And I certainly think you need those corporate headquarters and to stay as some large centralized
Yes.
executive location in downtown Lowell. Well, it does make you wonder.
We shall see.
Does make you wonder.
I wonder if after this, the 10 o'clock conference call, will we have more details? You can update your story on Inside Lowell?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna keep. Once I finish playing with you here, we're gonna start reaching out to some folks, try to get a little bit more of a personalized response from the bank, other than they in the Financial Times story, the Rockland Trust press release, there was a statement from La Rochelle in there that we've put on our story. Again, go check it out, InsideLowell.com. The headline reads, Rockland Trust acquires Enterprise Bank. Literally posted this morning shortly after 8 o'clock, and we'll update the story and the news as it continues to go there. Something else that I guess we know something about now after hearing rumblings, Asa, for months about something big coming to Lowell. We know
That's what we do. Me and you just sit here and speculate.
It's like doing talk radio, right?
It is.
But
Something's actually going to happen?
Well, it's on the agenda for the Lowell City Council.
They're going to be talking about something actually happening.
But they also put out, they released some information.
Okay.
Talking about
I missed that part.
The city council. Well, you and I were joking with some of the councils. Was you guys are heading up on a little, what was the words we were using?
It was a junket.
A junket to Toronto.
Who are my words? That's 𝐿𝐸 word.
Yeah, but it appears that the 2 trips, one in September by Mayor Danny Rourke to something called the World Economic Forum, led to...
Was it called that, really?
Yeah, the World Economic Forum. He addressed the World Economic
All right, tell me
Forum.
when it's safe to badmouth all this.
Right.
A couple months?
No, right here, right?
No, I'm not doing it.
I mean...
Great. Sounds like a great conference.
That led to 7 city councilors, along with manager Tom Golden and the DPD director Giovanni Baez-Rose, going to Toronto for what... I thought, again, it was more of an informative thing. It looks like, based on what they reported, what they put on their informational packet, and again, this story is on InsideLowell.com too, and you can see the full informational packet that they released to the council, and they'll be discussing at the next meeting tomorrow night. They actually had discussions with people from the United Nations. But this is the United. Let's kind of give the broad overview here, right? The not even the drone, the satellite view.
Okay.
The United Nations.
Yes.
A global organization headquartered in New York City.
We love them.
We love them, but they...
Go ahead.
Okay.
So something about those blue helmets just really makes me smile.
I can't believe everything I hate about globalists is now,
cruel.
Potentially could save the city of Lowell, and I have to reverse course. But the United Nations is interested in Lowell, Massachusetts, apparently for something that Frontrrunner cities, and I've done some further digging.
Because I don't know what that means.
So get familiar with the term pavilion.
All right, I know that one.
A UN pavilion. Get familiar with SDG, which is
Is that a street gang in the
sustainability,
Lower Highlands?
SDG, Sustainable Goals Development Cities.
All right, they can work on that, but okay. I like that. Yeah.
So it appears there's a number of different
Sustainability,
UN
are we in this
programs.
world?
All of them center, UN Habitat is another term that apparently we're going to have to get used to hearing. All of it centered on improving cities, creating sustainable cities and organizations and funding them.
Okay.
As they have
all right.
done in, Toronto, Canada. Now, Toronto was a world-class city long before.
Sure.
They became a front-runner city. But there are like little suburbs out there, Richmond Hill. There's an area called Regent Park, where I believe the first waves of this investment and money, again, international investment and money,
Yep.
has come into the Toronto area. The other thing that shocked me, they chose Lowell, Massachusetts. There is no front-runner city, no SDG city or pavilion or whatever anywhere else in the United States of America. Not New York, where the United Nations is headquartered already.
Right.
Not Boston, which is the mecca of our neck of the country, right?
Yep.
Not in
San Francisco.
Philadelphia, San Francisco,
Interesting.
Dallas, Houston, or whatever. Lowell, Massachusetts is apparently set up to become the first of these, and we'll stick with the term front-runner cities, okay?
Can you explain that to
in the
people
United
listening?
States of America?
And me. Just the front runner part.
So again,
What do we, like-
I'm not sure I fully grasp it yet.
Like Matt Ryan is a front runner, right? Quarterback. What does it mean for city?
Right. Lowell's a front. We get behind any sports team that does well, and then we ignore it the rest of the time.
Yes, no. I'm just like you. I'm researching this, except I just don't understand it. But I'm dumb. I'm not in this world.
But so as we Google searched it, and as I read the document on the city council agenda, all these things were coming out about sustainability, 2030, 2040, 2050, zero carbon emissions, all this other stuff. I pray I don't see the 15-minute city thing pop up.
No.
But I got a hunch it's coming because it looks like it's part of this effort. But it's basically international investment, global investment,
Yep.
coming in to fund buildings, commercial buildings,
Okay.
residential buildings, low-income buildings, community spaces, whatever, private enterprises, right? Private projects that are in the works or thoughts or whatever are eligible. City-owned properties, parcels,
State-owned, like the old
development.
courthouse or
Yeah.
something along those lines.
Obviously, UMass Lowell and the link discussion from back in March that we've been so excited about. That I got a hunch that's playing a role in this. I think no UMass Lowell, no link, no UMass Lowell ability to do some of this stuff with the future technologies, and all of UMass Lowell sustainability stuff that they promote.
Yeah.
My hunch is all of that comes into play here.
Great.
So how does it come into play? What I've been trying to wrap my head around how this comes into play in Lowell. What are the things we're going to see immediately, other than maybe a new park, like out at Regent Park in Toronto, the pavilion? I know what that is.
Right.
But what else? You're a worldly guy. Talk to me here, Asa.
No, this is not my world. My world is in Ukraine and Syria right now. But I'm just in my head. I envision foreign investors, and whatever this front runner program is, I'm not saying it's funded by the UN, but it's partnered with them. If you can get foreign investors investing, maybe they just want to invest in America. They want to get their foot in the door. Maybe the UN wants whatever this program is, the front runner. They want a test case, and they want to set it up in Lowell. And I'm sure they have
Lowell.
Well, you know why? Because Lowell checks a lot of boxes. Whenever you talk about sustainability, it's more of a left-wing ideology. It just is. But Lowell has immigrants, different cultures, different languages, different demographics. It's kind of a poor city. I'm sure there's a bunch of boxes they want to check to come in, like the heroes, and revive or save a city. And this is the way we're going to do it, and this is the way of the future. And if Lowell is the test case, it's fantastic for Lowell, because you're just going to have a bunch of hundreds of millions of dollars of foreign investment coming in, building Thorndike Street, Appleton, South Common, maybe turning that in. Was that
Can they have South Common?
You want a pavilion? There you go. South Common is a pavilion.
Think of large open spaces. Where would they be? South Common, North Common?
Here's the thing, money.
Like Shed Park?
When you have money, you can bulldoze an entire neighborhood and just do it. I'm not saying that's a good idea, but when you have the money, you have options. And if this money wants to come into Lowell and do what they want to do, how long have they been fighting for the Hamilton Canal District? It's literally come down to Lowell and Sal Napoli. Like, come on, can we do this? That's where we're at.
Right. If
you have some Saudi sheik or some guy in Sweden, like, who knows? Whatever their agenda is, if they want to come in and invest money.
Please don't tell me George Soros.
We like him until
I have nightmares about Soros taking over CAP. Actually, I don't want
to. His son's coming in, right?
Yeah, his son's buying all these other radios.
Either way, if
he got a kiss from the.
If Lowell is, that's what they're going to talk about tomorrow night, right? They're not going to get into exact details, but they're going to give the people more than we have now, right? More of an update of what could possibly be coming.
Yeah,
are they at MOA? Are they signing deals? Where are they at?
It says that the city manager is asking for the council to grant him permission to enter into negotiations for an MOU, memorandum of understanding. Yeah. So they've been talks apparently to enter into this discussion. Clearly, they must know at least the parameters. Otherwise, the manager wouldn't be asking for permission to enter into these negotiations and finding out what it entails.
So there's something on paper. Doesn't mean it's an exact plan, but there must be a basic. Literally buildings and blocks and addresses.
So that's what I'm wondering if it gets discussed tomorrow night, and also the dollar figure, because I've been trying to get a dollar figure, and this is what really kind of
it's a hell of a range.
Caught my attention. I've talked to usually those city councilors can't stop blabbing, right? You know these guys. So I've reached out to the manager's office and some of my moles in his office. I've reached out to the councilors who were in Toronto. I think all but two of them, and asked for what's the thing, and what I've gotten is I've gotten a lot of because they know exactly what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to blab it. They won't give me specifics, but the general consensus is, quote, and I put this in the story that I wrote on Friday, quote, "This is big." And I then just started digging a little, some of the more loose
this is big, or this could be big.
This could be big.
All right, now you and I are wondering, when does it become this is big? Is that tomorrow night?
Apparently after he negotiates.
Okay, yeah. No, that's the next step, right?
But
it's just so vague. It's like, okay, we're getting closer here, moving closer to the goal line.
But this is big could be, all right, well, we found a way to get Lapoli some money so he will leave Hamilton Canal, plus we got 2 or 3 other parcels still there. We can fix those. Maybe we can find a place for the mill number 5 artists who are, all up in arms.
Take the Link project out of it. Yeah. It's like anything is good.
Do we develop the Superior? Is this some money potentially to develop the Superior Courthouse into something, right? I don't know. Is this part of MBTA communities or whatever? But when I pushed a couple of folks who generally have been good talking to me, and I said, when you say this could be big, what are we talking about here? 100 million, 200 million. I threw up a couple of parcels. They said, think Link may be bigger. All right, so now that's when I'm like, this is like, holy moly, this is great. Link is an $800 million development. Probably going to be more expensive when all this said and done, right? But
you'd almost buy a high school.
800 million. So now you're getting close. You're on the edge of $1 billion. You're not at $1 billion, but you can see the front door down the street.
Oh, yeah. Right? It won't take much for the Link if it goes as planned. Just a small addition here or there. It's $1 billion project. Easy.
And if this is in that ballpark,
it's great.
A second Link-sized development happening in the city?
Is there a part of you that's like, what's happening? It's great, but what are we missing?
So I'm still not. He's your cousin, and I know you love him, and I've known him forever, and I love Mayor Rourke as well. But to think that this
it's bizarre.
Has its genesis.
It's great, but
in an article that was written in this Capital Analytics, which I'd never heard of, but apparently it's some financial trade publication.
Yes, you
that the world, global investors see.
Yeah, I just picture the lobby at the UN. Just everyone's reading this about Danny.
So he's there. They think, oh, the mayor of Lowell. Little do they know it's Plan E, and he's nothing. He basically keeps the school committee from fighting with each other.
They don't need to know that.
But he then goes and gives a speech at this World Economic Forum. He's invited because of that article to speak at the World Economic Forum.
The only American
representative there. And suddenly there's an invitation for
entire Lowell delegation.
Forget the mayor. Send the city manager and send the, anybody you want, which led to 7 city councilors and whatnot. So here's the miracle of this. They actually understood what Dan Rourke said.
Yeah, that's good.
His speech.
I told you he speaks a foreign language. There you go.
And they liked it enough to be intrigued, apparently.
Yeah, no, he I don't know. No one knows what exactly he did, but he clearly sold Lowell very well.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have his speech. He gave me his speech, and I published it. Yeah, the speech is published in its entirety that he delivered, and it was the typical Lowell selling points. We speak whatever number he gave at the time, 60, 70 languages at Lowell High in the city.
Good. There it is.
We have flag raising ceremonies. We have we're the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution. There was stuff in there about sustainability, which made me want to pull my hair out. I'd pull his hair out, but you can't really get to that.
A little thin gray.
Yeah, but but it's all this stuff about the language of sustainability, which I'm the first to poo-poo. Apparently,
it works.
May have paved the path for a lot of money to come into the city.
It's fantastic. It's great.
It's mind-numbing.
I really want to watch this council meeting. I want to see some more details.
As I wrote, wrapping up the article, could be one of the most momentous city council meetings the city's ever had. And I'm not sure how many people know this yet. It hasn't been picked up anywhere else. I'm not sure they understand. People looked at the agenda item, but it's an informational report.
Has the Lowell Sun mentioned this once?
No, they've had...
Really? They haven't mentioned this once?
No, they have they have 18 more homeless stories to write. You got to feel bad for the homeless people who get kicked out of the shelter.
I mean,
you have to remember this.
It's wild this is potentially a massive... You have to mention it. You don't have to write a full column, just like, hey, where are we at? What happened in Toronto? How did we get here? Seems like an easy story to write, but no, I guess that's why InsideLowell taking over.
Well, this is the stuff that excites me. All due respect, all these wonderful features.
It should excite everyone.
Great, but this is potential to, I'm going to use that word again, transform the city. And maybe bring it back to, we poo-poo it because it's Lowell. We know it, right? We remember High on Crack Street. We know what the rest of the country thought of us through the HBO documentary and all the Lowell jokes. Hell, we celebrate them every Thanksgiving and Christmas on our festive shows and whatnot.
We're proud of our heritage.
But Lowell is the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution. There was a point in time, 1860, where Lowell was a big deal, and you had presidents, visiting. You had famous authors, poets, whatever. Lowell was a central hub before it began to fade away, and Boston became
like the Silicon Valley of its time.
Massachusetts. Yeah, and it's set up to be coming back, and it was great when it was just UMass Lowell Link, right? Hey, give everything to let the university take it over because they're the only hope.
Even that, I was like, really? Okay, great.
Yeah, exactly.
This is like on top of that.
Now I'm like, oh, wait a minute, we're doing this without the university? Now, again, I
hope the city people don't start getting cocky. Just take this all in stride here. Let's sign some deals.
The whole thing's going to come crashing down, whatever's
everyone be cool.
And people will point to this podcast and laugh at us.
I'm saying the opposite. I love the UN. I could ask one question. So when you say that the UN is sort of involved in facilitating in this and they give you the Frontrrunner designation,
these programs...
is there going to be a UN office in Lowell, or they're just an overlord and they connect people?
I can't imagine you build something of that magnitude and not have some presence. Look, the UN is in New York, right? I mean, Donald Trump may want to kick him out. Does that mean they're coming to Lowell?
Well, they must.
We can bring him here because of Corey Lewandowski.
I'm sorry, what?
You think
that'll help bring the UN? Yeah. But I wonder, they're going to have like a satellite office or some sort of... I'm sorry.
I don't know what this is. And again, people who normally, will give me a hint and even swear me to secrecy are not even giving me the hint this time, which again has me more intrigued.
Yes.
Yeah, because it tells me it's big.
All right, good. So we're getting close.
It's big.
Well, I don't have another day off from work for many months, but if we were to do this in a month, would we have facts? This building, this is it at that point?
I think if we were to do this in 2 days, we might have facts. I don't know what's going to be discussed at the city council meeting. But again,
either way, it's bringing it out to the public.
Look at the terms on that agenda item, and it's an informational report by the manager, and the link is on it to the Lowell on Inside Lowell. You can read it, and you'll see the terms: Frontrunner cities and SDGs and pavilions and all. Or you start Google searching Frontrunner cities, and you start to see SDGs and whatnot, and look at Regent Park in Toronto and see what they've done there. Again, everything comes with a string, right?
That's what I'm wondering. Where is the Lucy in the football? What's being missed here?
It's the sustainability. It's woke. Lowell, Massachusetts could become the wokest city in America, supplanting San Francisco and Cambridge.
Sustainability isn't woke. Woke is, to me, different.
Well,
if it's the way you build your roads or your sidewalks, or
be prepared for more bike lanes.
That's all right.
Be prepared for more.
Listen, we have to take a loss. You and I hated the new Lord Overpass idea. We did. We crapped all over it.
I still crap all over it.
They did a good job. I'm taking the loss on that one.
Look,
they did. I thought it would be a disaster. It's way, way better than I thought.
If the Lord Overpass redesign,
I was wrong.
That whole area, and we keep hearing the manager has talked about, MBTA communities and the things that it could unlock for the Hamilton Canal area, but also the Jam area, Jackson, Appleton, and Middlesex. Does it mean you're starting to get some development there? He's talked about development, Appleton Street going up.
He was hinting at that before.
Correct. Before Link.
Yeah.
The manager talked about this. But again,
bidding war.
as Drake and many other communities are saying we want no part of this MBTA communities thing, Lowell dove right in, much to my chagrin, right?
No, not really.
Because
you have to be realistic about it. You know what it is, and personally, I don't like it, but if you're living in Lowell, it's good for your city, and it doesn't impact you that much. If you're living in Drake, it's worse, and maybe you go against it. I don't know. It depends on where you live, in my opinion. For Lowell, I think it's perfectly fine, and it's worth the benefits versus a town like Drake, where you get forced to build, and you're getting it's not great.
Look, hundreds of millions of dollars of investment, and whatever that final number is it the 800 million of Link? Is it above it? Is it slightly below it, way below it? Until we know all that. But you're not going to say no to that, right? If you get a $50 million development, we cut ribbons and have press releases for a $40 million housing complex,
if none of this happened and there was a $50 million project, whatever, on Middlesex Street, you'd be thrilled.
Yeah.
Great.
Is there any negative? Because it's funny, there have been 3 comments on the story itself. One of them from a fake name. By the way, folks, cut the fake names. Just put your name out there. Don't make fake names.
Oh, so under the story?
Yeah, but there's like a long rant about, I do not consent to this and globalists and this and that. And look, I'm the number one person to shit on globalists.
No, the name Hans Stutz is a real name. It's not a fake name.
I never even thought of Hans as a son. I thought of one of our other favorite ranters.
Listen, if you want the truth, if you're a conservative, there are some serious trigger words happening with this story.
Yeah.
Sustainability, World Economic Forum,
sure,
UN.
Do we all have to give up our cars? Do we all have
to be against something?
Do I have to get rid of all my gas appliances?
To be against something before you hear the proposal is wrong, especially for a city like Lowell that needs the investment. So, but let's hear it out.
Here's the way I'm looking at it.
If I hear 15-minute cities, I'm out.
The way I'm looking at it, though, is you and I did that podcast with a UMass Lowell professor on AI, and in particular the power needs, the energy needs of AI.
Yeah.
All the sustainability talk and the clean energy talk will completely be transformed within the next handful of years. Fair to say, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's fossil fuels. I don't know if it's nuclear, but somebody's got to power these giant computers that Markley is hoping to build and expand on in their neck of Lowell and the rest of the world. Zuckerberg is funding, the largest gas producing plant.
How does the green,
ever in Louisiana, right?
He's going, gas powered.
Zuckerberg is doing that. He's doing
a gigawatt.
But other people, Amazon and Google are talking about financing 8 nuclear power plants.
Yeah, they've all signed deals.
Yeah.
Like nuclear power plants are popping up everywhere. Zuckerberg's the first one to nuclear is obviously cleaner than gas. how do the green energy people feel about natural gas? They hate it, right? I mean, coal is the worst, but they hate natural gas.
They love green energy, unless that green energy is nuclear.
They've signed all these pledges, and they just announced the largest gas.
They're going gas because right now we don't have the nuclear capacity, and as much to the chagrin of the environmentalists, wind, solar, and water cannot meet the demand of AI in their current form. And the genie's out of the...
Wind is gone. Like, honestly, people just need to realize wind is gone. Solar could...
So are the whales.
Yeah, well, but solar could absolutely be the future once AI figures out how to really harness the energy of the sun, which it will. But wind, just forget about it.
But AI is going to demand it. And nuclear,
it's the deal with the devil. To get the super intelligence that can clear all your energy needs and make it all green and sustainable... To get there, you have to crank up the energy consumption in America. Literally, you have to double it from what it is now to get to there. And it won't always be clean. It'll be Zuckerberg with a gigawatt down in Louisiana. Yeah. It's going to be a bunch of nuclear reactors. And again, that's just for each individual model. You still have a growing country. You still have an economy. You still have whatever it is, population growth. Oh boy, I said during the show, I wish someone would just talk to the people and say, this is what's happening. We need to crank the dial up to 10. Once we hit the super intelligence, which we can see in the future, 5 years, we will give you the world that you want. But to get there, we got to really crank it. No one ever says that out loud. I think Zuckerberg will. He's going to have to.
But they'll have to.
He's broken his pledge.
Look, people are starting to say it. And you're saying
who are they saying it to? You have to say it to the people that are hijacking trains. What was the train story around here? The girl with the rope. The SWAT team on a train. Yes. That was a great story. Yeah. A great moment in time. But somebody has to tell them, like, stop getting arrested for felonies. What you're doing is not
spray painting the.
You're doing one little train trolley, and there's massive power plants being built that will not be stopped. So just understand what's happening here. Don't get arrested for a felony.
Is it mean of me to think that the delicious irony is that it's going to be nuclear for the short term until AI figures out other stuff? Because who are the people that killed nuclear?
The lefties.
The same people who are now trying to
no nukes.
The same people who are trying to take out.
I went to a protest when I was like 6. I was over at the nuclear power plant.
The clams. Were you part of the Clamshell Alliance?
Was that the one that did
that did Seabrook? Yeah, the Clamshell Alliance.
Can I tell a personal story? My mother said to me and 𝐞𝐥𝐥𝐸𝐬 Jr., not the. We want to go to the beach? Yeah, sure. Get all our stuffs, towels. We go to the beach. She brings us to the protest. Nowhere near the beach, the power plant. There's a big marsh and everything in between. And all the people storm the fences, get arrested. I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
You were there for that?
There's a picture of us getting interviewed by some media member. And we're sitting there with our shirts off with a towel over, but we're at a nuclear power plant. I'm like, that's a day at the beach with my mother.
I'm old enough to remember that, but
great.
Ironically, that
free Ben & Jerry's ice cream.
In the name of environmentalism, clean energy, the nuclear plant is going to be the narrative is going to tell you, no, this is good. This is the only way we have nuclear, or you want to burn all your fossil fuels. As you said, these people who are rappelling on the coal trains and whatnot, they're in for a rude awakening.
Yes.
And they're going to either have to accept nuclear, or they're going to just get marginalized to the point where they're the lunatics and conspiracy theorists, not you and I, for saying, hey,
right.
Energy fuels the world, folks.
We'll bring that back to Lowell. Nuclear power projects, UMass Lowell.
Nuclear reactor on the campus of UMass Lowell. I've toured that with my brother-in-law,
You went inside there?
He was a nuclear engineering student at UMass Lowell who actually was one of the people who consulted when that Fukushima plant in Japan.
Oh, really?
When the tsunami created the meltdown over there, and people from all over the world were trying to come up with solutions.
Yep.
One of the folks they reached out to was a gentleman named Dr. Gilbert Brown.
Okay.
UMass Lowell nuclear professor. He was my brother-in-law's professor. He immediately reached out to my brother-in-law, who'd been out of the industry for like 30, 40 years.
Oh, wow.
I said, Paris, I need your thinking.
Yeah, there you go.
And they consulted on ways to try to save that situation over there. But,
For those who don't know, by the way, they might not know that UMass Lowell has a nuclear power plant.
It's a low-scale nuclear reactor for testing.
Right, power plant's the wrong word.
Can it be converted into creating power? am I naive to think that the AI people coming into Lowell as part of Link don't want, access to the research that can be done at that reactor?
Yeah, when we looked it up before the show, it's capable of, it's got a capacity of 1 megawatt, which is a lot, which is more than, we're not sure if this is hooked up to a grid or if this is useful energy, but I think that's maybe twice what Lowell's was. Don't quote me on that. But either way, the 1 megawatt capacity, I think there's a lot of people that have no idea that there's a nuclear reactor in Lowell.
You realize what we just did with that little 1-minute segment just now.
What did we do?
We're going to set off the panic of the nuclear energy. Your mother may start protesting UMass Lowell.
Well, she's retired from there, so.
Well, maybe she can't then.
Yeah, the pension.
But, yeah, they're not building a nuclear power plant. No, we're kind of speculating on how it could be used. Your mother?
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
It's you. Too many soups at the Athenian.
Too many. I'll take it.
You corroded her brain.
You're watching my Big Fat Lowell podcast, a look at the world through a Lowell lens. And hey, the world, literally the United Nations, their logo is a world, a globe, is somehow interested in the city of Lowell. We're doing some speculating on that. We're here in the WellPoint studios with Asa Stutz, and I want to thank our sponsors at WellPoint and Washington Savings Bank, TMI Properties, Mahoney Oil, Francis E. Proventure Insurance, Real Estate Ray Booten, and the Massachusetts Pirates for helping to make this show possible. Before we move on to some other things that have been happening, is there political fallout from this? This is the crowning achievement of the Golden administration, right? More so than Link, more so than anything else.
Well, I would not be. I think you're way ahead here. It could be.
It could be.
Could be. It is.
Look, I'm going to tell you, it's not being discussed on the council floor in that kind of specificity.
Link could be.
Right. But now he's got this.
If he locks in Link, the whole the manager and the council, give them all credit.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Yes. Again, literally, the 7 council members went up there, including the mayor who went up on the first trip solo. Tremendous credit for this, but it appears that a lot of this,
Julie Chen,
as you talk, right,
and Marty. Look, yeah, you know what? You're right.
The presence this does not happen without the presence of the university, and I think Tom Golden will be the first to tell you that. Tom Golden never talks about Lowell's success without mentioning that university.
Yeah, well, to circle it back to your first sentence. Yes, it would be the crown jewel because the Link has all those different party who all like Lowell, and this is something separate.
Right, this is the city of Lowell's alone.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
With the presence of the university, I think, helping it. But the city of Lowell, this city council, went and did it on its own. This city manager went and did it on its own.
Hopefully.
So these are long-term things, though, right? They happen. Like I know, like I when I looked up Regent Park in Toronto, like they built that pavilion at Regent Park, it's called, or something to that effect. And then they announced that was like the first step in the Frontrunner city. And then Toronto, and now they're going all in on Frontrunner city. So this we're going back 2-3 years now. So this is a multi-year process here. How long does Golden have on his contract? Just out of curiosity. Is it 4 or 5 years? It was 5?
I don't know. It's a good question.
He's at the midway point right now, 2.5.
It's definitely 4 or 5. Not sure. Yeah.
He's young.
Yes.
He's not near retirement age, like Kevin Murphy, Eileen Donahue, others.
Yeah. But you know what?
He's Bernie Lynch age, right? Where there's a life afterward.
Well, listen, that's the thing though. This is Lowell politics. Kevin Murphy came in. Oh, he's going to do his 3 years, pad his pension, leave. He did his 3 years, did a good job. He didn't want to leave.
He did his 4 years and wanted to stay longer. He was forced out.
Eileen Donahue comes in, exact same. Oh, she's going to do her 3 years, and it's like she did her time. She still was doing a good job. She wanted to stay. Once Tom Golden hits 3-4 years, say he's doing a good job, then becomes a political question, right?
Well, do you ask him? Should the city council be proactive?
It's rude for me to ask.
This is where I'm going with it. And look, no secret.
So you're saying lock him in early? Lock him in early now.
I've known and liked Tom Golden for a very long time. As a state rep, he was been my state rep for a period of time. I think he's done a phenomenal job as city manager.
He's a second cousin of mine. I'll say that. So
I think everybody before him did a good job, but I could see arguments. It's time to move on. With Kevin Murphy, it was the high school debate. He couldn't lead that council in the city after, not not tilting the playing field, as some folks perceived for Cawley. With Eileen Donahue, I think the new system of government, district counselors, you know, one of her things was put all this ARPA money into, you know, Shed Park as opposed to all the other parks. You knew the end was near sometime around
That's
there,
true,
right?
but it got a little bit overblown where it was like, take $10 for the Bartlett Field, but Shed Park's building gold.
But what's the succession plan after Tom Gold? And if you're looking at the State House, maybe Ed Kennedy?
No.
Right? Tara Hong just got elected. Vanna Howard is actually the dean of the delegation at the State House. Think about that. She got elected in the COVID year, 2020.
Wow.
And she is now the dean of your State House delegation.
Go back just before Kevin Murphy left to become city manager, I think each guy was between 18 and 20 years. Were they not? Like there was some real institutional knowledge there and some connections. Yeah, hey, listen, things change.
But is there city manager timber there where certain councils will feel the need to push out Tom Golden to put their person?
Ed Kennedy's
the only guy in that.
He's up there in age. Rodney Elliott would be a guy that checks the box, but he's what, 2 terms into city?
Right. You also have to be 4 years removed from a city council position to get into.
Oh, really?
Manager. Yeah. There's some kind of thing in there.
I think that would be a tough hill for him to climb.
I can see that at some point.
Yes. Right. Now, absolutely not. In the future, in 10 years, who knows?
Is there a young professional manager out there that's going to come in? You know, again, the people. No disrespect to the people who've gotten the Lowell job and these other like little town jobs, Bill Ricka and Tewksbury and whatnot. But are they Lowell timber? Are they able to do a budget the size of Lowell's with the complexity that Lowell brings to the table? Are they able to go to Beacon Hill and discuss MBTA communities? Are they able to go to Toronto and discuss Frontrunner cities? Are they able to work close, like hand in hand with Julie Chen and Marty Meehan up there? But both Julie Chen and Marty Meehan have sat right where you are and sung the praises of Manager Golden, said nothing that's happening at UMass Lowell is possible without Tom Golden.
It's hugely important.
Part of that is, there's a graciousness that goes along with it. We get it, but they'll say things off the air. They're like, well, they're not just saying it to, butter him up.
Right.
There's a legitimate level of respect. And conversely, I've seen him, I was at one of these annual or every 2-year downtown Lowell business bitch fests where people complain about the downtown Lowell business environment, and one gentleman came up and decided to start ripping the university, and Tom Golden cut him off mid-sentence, says, there isn't a country in America that wouldn't take UMass Lowell if they had a chance at that. He literally didn't let the guy finish his sentence.
Yeah.
So I know that the feelings are mutual. He's not just paying lip service to them.
Right.
And I see him and Julie Chen interact. And, I've seen them sometimes in meeting. I've run into them out and about. They're in constant communications. So
no, there's not. It's again. Usually we have this conversation when somebody's doing a bad guy or doing a bad job or feeling the heat, which hasn't really happened in Lowell in the last decade. But even if they're just to speculate, I don't see anyone out there.
Do you go at some point before his contract expires? Do you go out and say, "Hey, would you be interested in staying more than 5 years to see all this stuff?"
If you had to right now, you had to pick one person that you think would be interested in that job. Who would you pick?
Well, I mean, Ed Kennedy's the obvious one, but I don't know. He's never expressed interest to me. But
whatever name you say, it's funny. It just starts a rumor.
Yeah, that's it. But how
about this? In 5, 6, 7 years, Connor Baldwin. By then, he checks every box.
Yeah, that's a natural progression, right? If you want to promote from within, he'll have hopefully learned the political structure.
He must. I mean, he's been there for a while now. He was young when he started. He's still young, but he must have a ton of dealings with UMass Lowell, the State House delegation, the actual finances of the city.
A guy like Adam Bakey back, that's another name, right? Yeah. Assistant manager experience, then went to UMass Lowell. Now he's with, is it DCAM that he's with? The buildings department for the state. I think that's what he does. DCAM, whatever the hell it's called.
I think Lowell's succeeding right now is because it's not super political, which sounds weird because they're politicians, but
we say that going into an election year.
I know, but it's not this left-right, the thing you see in the country, and Trump has nothing to do with Lowell politics, which is shocking because he infests is the wrong word. Give me a better word. I'm not trying to hate on him. You know what I mean? But his presence is felt everywhere but you don't feel it in Lowell politics at City Hall with the government. I mean, with this, it's just not there. Maybe it will be in about 2 months when ICE agents are coming into Lowell.
A raid on Lawrence Street may change that.
Right.
But
They've had a good run. I know Trump hasn't been the president for the last 4 years, but that could change. But either way, there's a focus on the city. And it's the way it should be. They're doing a great job. And you're trying to fire the manager. What's wrong with you?
No, I'm not, actually, I'm not trying to. I'm wondering is,
okay.
He's young enough. Do you?
Oh, you want an extension?
Do you start to see, in the next year or two? Hey, I don't know. I don't know if he has a 4 or 5 year. I think it's a 5 year. So he's about halfway through.
Okay.
But
how many city managers have made it 5 years?
Not recently. Bernie Lynch was the last.
Yeah.
But even if you go back before him, it was not a long tenure for most of them.
You think Tom Golden saw that Juan Soto contract yesterday?
Maybe. I mean, he's not retiring at 58 or whatever he's going to be in 2.5 years.
No, he's at work.
Right? He can still, he's young enough. Well, why not keep him working for the city of Lowell is my question.
People, it's politics and people like and dislike each other, but it's like everyone should be rooting for him to just do a great job for 20 years.
Does your cousin get a second term as mayor? We haven't had a consecutive term.
No, I usually he's the first cousin, so I usually don't talk about him. Just
Rourke is a first cousin and Tip is a second.
Yeah. So I usually don't, just because it's like I want to be honest here. And if he did something bad, I wouldn't want to rip him, just to be honest. So it's like I feel bad praising him, which is weird. And now I know is that strange? Because I come on here and just praise him, and then he does something terrible, and I don't say anything. I feel like a fraud.
He's got to get some praise here.
God.
Again, this is he's
doing an excellent job. He's doing an unbelievable
Everybody
job.
raves about how he runs the meetings. It's great. By 7:35, they're done most nights.
They rave at his speed.
They get through stuff. Yeah, well, they get through stuff pretty quickly. Yeah. Whatever. And there's been some rancor behind the scenes, but most of it has, it hasn't affected policy decisions.
I haven't read anything in the
to any large degree, right? Well, that's because they're finding churches, and you're forgetting that narrative there. But there are some people who think this council is atrocious, and so is the manager, and they want to get rid of them all. But we're not that far away. We had last time we did a Big Fat Lowell podcast, we had Danielle McFadden sitting here with us. There's already a candidate announced for school committee, but there's council candidates who have announced. There's more that are going to come out of the woodwork come the new year.
What would you give? Danny's the mayor, and then there's the council. What would you give them for a grade right now, just overall?
The council?
Yes.
I give this council an A.
I really
do. This
all of them.
gets an A.
Fine, I'll break my own rule. I think what Danny's doing in Toronto could be transformative for Lowell. Unbelievable. I think look at the rest of the council. Rita is Rita, and I mean that is the ultimate compliment.
If Rita Mercer wants to be mayor, if Rita Mercer says this is going to be my last term, but I'd like to go out as mayor, that's a lot of votes there just for that, right?
I want to find some reports about that Toronto delegation with Rita, because she's a secret weapon. You get her up there talking to people, she only helps. It's great. Yeah. I think Vesna. I talked about how the Trump and the thing Vesna's not done any of the national politics stuff or the international. He gets kind of drawn into the Cambodian politics sometimes. He's just been straight doing his job and doing it well. All of them. Eric Gitchier, he's going to be divisive, but that's the kind of politician that people voted for. He's going to yell at you about a pothole or this.
He was put in there for a reason.
People like that, right? He's the top vote getter. So all in all, they're doing a hell of a job. I don't know. I'm not sure what people are expecting, but you've got a good range of different personalities and ideologies focused on Lowell. Let's see what happens when Trump gets in.
We'll save that for 2025 Big Fat Lowell podcast.
All right, good.
Okay. Mayor talk, but then maybe in a year or so we start talking.
Yeah, you're way early with the double mayor talk.
Well, I'm just thinking there's, a lot of this stuff is, planned out for years in advance. Like the link thing isn't really you're not going to see buildings complete and open until 2027. There's still a lot of pegs.
Are places moving in there already?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's Draper's already in there. They put him in Wanalancet. Yep. There's already things happening with home base and Bioversity, I believe, is the other one that's already got people in here. Mill number 5 was a big topic. It still is. People still talking about mill number 5.
People love it. That's sad.
It is.
It's understandable when you look at the whole scenario and the situation happening with the owner, but it just doesn't matter. People can still be sad or mad.
How many other businesses have announced that they're shutting down in the last 2 weeks in Lowell?
I suspect you know the answer.
Gallery Z. I'm told this place called Trend in downtown Lowell is shutting down.
Is that the one right below us here?
Yeah. No, further down. But right below us, District 5 is closing. And well, businesses come, businesses go. 3 to 5 years is the average lifespan of most small businesses. Mill number 5 had a, 10-year run? I get it. It's sad. If the outcry over it closing matched the passion for the shopping at the shops that were there, it wouldn't be closing. This whole thing has been overblown to a level where, like, they literally made a guy who has been hemorrhaging money, slashing the rent to try to keep these people out, and running the main anchor businesses in there. The Luna Theater was James 𝐖𝐿𝐴 business, which was kind of the anchor business in there. Coffee and Cotton was his. He owned a number of businesses. Poor guy was losing his shirt. He finally said no mas.
Right.
And he got demonized.
I hope not.
He was demonized. Right? Until a few businesses stepped up and said, no, this guy we've known, it was in danger. We appreciate him.
I've seen some
keeping it
pushback
open
on
the
that
side.
too. Like,
now they're going after, they're going after the charter school. Like, people lost their mind. Businesses come and businesses go. There's a restaurant that's been open for over 7 decades that nobody knows the fate of right now. But, where's the consternation for that? It's called business. Lowell, we'll find homes. There are plenty of vacancies for businesses that were in Mill number 5. They can stay in downtown Lowell.
Yeah.
If the argument is, well, they can't sustain themselves on their own, then doesn't that explain to you why James 𝐿𝐴 had to shut it down?
It does. It's just such a unique, cool place that to think that it's not going to be there anymore. People are sad.
Let's recreate it somewhere else.
That's fine. Because again, I'm not sure how you do it with the movie
But
theater.
somebody's got to be, the sugar daddy. And I don't want it to be the city of Lowell. And that's what I'm worried about. I got a hunch people are, hey, Lowell needs to find something for these people. Do you want the Lowell taxpayers to be on the hook for running 10 businesses?
Yeah, no, you got to be
They can help
smart.
them. They should help them. They should support them. But do you want them footing the bill like 𝐿𝐴 was?
No, you can't.
No, right?
But the UN.
The UNA. If the Frontrrunner city status creates an area, let's put them in a pavilion or whatnot, where Mill number 5 can relocate and move and whatnot, more power to you.
Yeah, I'm sure people are looking. We do have a lot of mills, and a lot of them are apartments now. But
of course they are.
Again, you know what I mean. It's just a cool place to be
right.
at.
But
it's not so much about the actual financial and the money coming into the city and this boom. It's just part of the fabric. But there's value to that. It doesn't mean you bail out a company or you bail them all out, but it does hurt for people that love it.
And I don't necessarily want my counselors to be so focused on, a coffee shop and an movie theater and a whatever.
They can walk and chew gum at the same time.
Not when you got a Frontrrunner city thing you need to hash out. At some point, the manager's going to start negotiating.
You can multitask.
Some kind of $100 million deal or whatever that final number is. At some point, Link folks are going to come in and say, we need this. And there's going to be important votes that
I get it, but there's someone from the city who needs to step up and go, I'm going to physically go look at these mills or these buildings or this, and I'm going to try.
They have and they're trying.
Good, then don't criticize them. That's good.
I'm not criticizing them. I'm criticizing the public angst.
Okay.
Like, if we're going to have this kind of public angst for every time a business shuts down, great. And again, I know this one's a little bit more
But if it's a loved business, if it's loved, it's different.
Businesses that are loved are printing money hand over
Rogers Pools ever goes out. I'll be
right. Rogers Pools is loved, right?
Even though I would say the only business that stays in business is Rogers Pools, and there's like 2 pools in the entire city of Lowell, the North and the South Common.
Go to the Capitol Grill in Berlin, and you'll see a loved business because money talks. The love is shown in the form of dollar bills. If there was more love shown to the businesses of Mill number 5, Jim 𝐿𝐴 wouldn't have to shut it down and gift it to a charter school. Homeless, we just put that aside. We're at 58 minutes, 50 seconds. Let's put that aside.
Read the column.
Read the Lowell Sun. They've got the homeless situation covered for now. They'll shed a tear for them and spend, 35% of every council meeting talking about them. I want you to talk about Syria.
Yeah, you were sure? We got a whole Lowell stuff here. You want to go to? You don't have to.
We're going to wrap up talking about Syria because my Big Fat Lowell podcast, A Look at the World Through a Lowell Lens. Lowell has a Syrian church right in the heart of the city, right in the heart of the acre.
Lowell has Syrian immigrants from the Civil War 10 years ago.
Exactly.
That are here.
Remember when they were the immigrants? They were getting the migrants getting most of the attention?
Yes. No, that was a big deal back in your radio days. Yeah. So, honestly, will they go home is the wrong word, but think they'll go back?
I wouldn't go back.
What do you think? I know.
If I'm a Christian, I'm not going back to Syria right now.
Are you happy, mad, or indifferent to what just happened there? Assad got overthrown.
I'm not sad that Assad got overthrown because he was a bad dude.
Horrible.
But Assad was, to many accounts, the only thing protecting Christians in Syria, who are now, we don't know. This guy that supposedly, you know more about this than I do, and probably than most people do, but this guy that's coming in who's supposedly going to run Syria for the time being.
𝐿𝐭𝐿𝐴.
He's talking about he wants a peaceful area for all religions, right?
He's talking a good game, but do you want his quick biography?
Yes, please, because I think people should be concerned.
Harry, I got to write down his full name. Abu Muhammad al-Jawhlani. He's a Syrian, young guy, went to school. Iraq War started.
He's a Syrian or a Syrian?
Oh, sorry, a.
Okay.
Syrian.
Space. Syrian.
Yes. The Iraq War starts. He wants to go fight against Americans. He goes, joins up with Zarqawi. Remember that guy, hardcore Al-Qaeda guy in Iraq? Bad guy. So he gets down there with them. He gets arrested, does 5 years. He was actually in Abu Ghraib prison. This dude's actually is got a wild story. So he did 5 years, gets freed, goes back to Syria, but when he went back, he was with ISIS. So he had an ISIS Al-Qaeda connection. Baghdadi was his boss, and he was like a number 2. He broke off. He said ISIS is too hardcore, and he formed something called the Al-Nusra. Sorry, I'm messing that up. That's like Al-Qaeda in Syria.
Okay.
He was in charge of that. They ended up linking up with the Americans. We backed them. So now you've got the Al-Nusra group teamed up with some of the Kurds and some others, and you've got this wild civil war with all these different groups.
The Kurds we've always been supportive of.
Al-Nusra was our guys.
The Turks are involved in this.
Turks, yeah. So the SDF.
Not Turks and Caicos, but Turkey.
No, Turkey's very involved. So either way, this guy, they fight the civil war. ISIS ends up being the most powerful. Then the United States destroys ISIS. Russia comes in with Iran, saves Assad. That's that. The country is split. Everything to the east of the Euphrates. To the east of the Euphrates is the Kurds in America. Happens to be where all the oil is, but weird how that worked out. To the left is the government, the Assad regime. And then to the north on the Turkish border is this guy and this crew. They just had a little pocket up there. Out of nowhere, they just invaded and nobody stopped them. It's not like this is some superpower like ISIS was. They just came down into Aleppo and took it without a fight. And then they took the next city, Homs. Then they took Hama. And they went straight. No one stopped them. And it's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen.
Which tells me there's some kind of a globalist game going on here.
Something bizarre is happening.
Certain concessions behind the scenes. Joe Biden was celebrating it. President Biden was celebrating it.
So these were our guys.
Right?
They're definitely more backed by Turkey now. But they're definitely...
Who I don't trust at all. No. Erdogan's a dangerous person. So I know right off the bat, I've got a red flag there.
Yeah. But to your original point, the first city they took is Aleppo, the second biggest city in Syria. They took it. They took control, and they said, do not harm any Christians, anybody else. Leave them alone. They go down to the next city.
And so far they have, to our knowledge? There has not been a genocide or anything?
There's a highway, M5, that goes straight down through Syria. I think Homs or Hama is the next city. They took it, and when they left, they took a Christian Catholic bishop or someone and said, you're in charge of the city. Everyone's like, whoa, okay. So these guys are clearly not ISIS. If you were ISIS, you would have been murdered on the spot for even saying that. And they've said, we want to protect the rights and do everything. Now they're in charge in Damascus. They put out an edict today saying, we will kill you if you harm any Christians, if you make women cover up any weird, they can wear whatever they want. If you touch the media, we will kill you if you violate these.
All right, so it's some type
they're talking a good game.
Okay, so it's some type of Muslim faith leadership, but they're talking about what they should be talking about.
Some of these guys are still jihadis. These are their crew.
Well, so that's what I'm concerned about. This is Al Qaeda. We are supporting and, have funded.
He gave away
a former Al Qaeda dude, former ISIS dude.
Yes.
Remember, these are the guys that flew the planes into the World Trade Center. So forgive me.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
If I'm not celebrating it, I'm glad Assad is out. Perhaps John Kerry is weeping on his yacht.
Oh,
because John Kerry was Assad's biggest supporter. Funny that the Biden administration is kind of, are they cutting Kerry loose on this now?
I haven't seen much from him, thankfully. His face is disturbing with all that Botox.
Why the long face?
Don't say that.
That one's for you, Gilly.
So we'll see. This guy denounced Al Qaeda like 7 years ago. So it's not something that just happened yesterday.
Okay.
He's been out. He's been running, I forget the name of the city in northern Syria, but it's been fairly calm, and they're not just killing Christians and everyone else. So he's talking and saying all the right things. Now the world has to decide, like, he's clearly in charge of the country. This group, the HTS, they're a terrorist group. Like, the United States has them on the terror watch list. Germany, England, everyone. Right. This is a known terrorist group. They're going to have to recognize them as the government. And again, you don't really have a choice. So they're in charge until they're not. And you have to say, all right, we're going to take that label off and give you a chance to run this country. But there's a lot of cynical people saying, okay, good luck with that.
All right. It's Syria. It's halfway around the world.
Yeah.
But as you said, in 2014, we started to see waves of Syrian, migrants, coming over here to.
That was a weapon
to survive.
Russia, part of Russia's strategy was just flood. I mean, we saw some in Lowell, but Europe got flooded. Yeah. Then you had ISIS, literally Paris, London, all these terrorist attacks. This guy, if you look at some of what he's saying now, 𝐤𝐥𝐥𝐸, he's saying all the right things. We're gonna protect everyone's rights. We're gonna do all this, but if you look at his resume. That's a hard pill.
I'm nervous, and I say that because I know that a lot of the Syrian community, that church, they believe it's a St. George church.
So that's the yellow church right on Fletcher Street at the end of the North
that's
Common?
Transfiguration.
I thought that was
across the street from that on Fletcher Street is a church that I believe is St. George's, but it's a Syrian church. If I'm getting the name wrong, forgive me, but I know a ton of the members in there. Some of them have married into my family. They're close friends. We've grown up together. One of the well-known benefactors in the area, Ellen Andre. These are their churches. These are the folks who, Freddie Simon. Just think Freddie Simon. That was Freddie Simon's church. So a well-known.
This area has it's got a solid Syrian, Armenian, Lebanese.
Yeah, attorney Michael Najjar from Marcotte Law Firm. We know all
Lawrence,
these people.
Methuen, there's a little pocket here of that part of the world. Yeah. Well, Armenia's not. But.
So they're safe, but what does it mean for others Christians in that country? And
we'll see. I'll just tell you, I am celebrating. You are not. I am. Not because I have hope that this new group is going to be great and they're going to bring a liberal Jeffersonian democracy to Syria. They're not. I don't care if they do either way. This is the ultimate humiliation for Russia. Russia is there to protect the regime. They have a naval base, an air force base, an army base. One of them's already been completely overrun. The country's been taken over, and they are evacuating their airport, their naval, Tartus, huge naval base. This is where they project strength to the whole world. To the Mediterranean, it's how they get to Africa. It's like a way station. They can go anywhere from there. They can't go anywhere. The Black Sea is blocked. They have to go all the way through around to the Baltic just to go home. And that's it. Russia is completely humiliated.
Well, they protected the regime because they flew Assad out and probably
he's in Moscow.
And then probably they're giving him asylum, and they're probably going to help him drain all the pounds out of the London banks that he has.
Oh, yeah.
And he and his top levels will be fine. The people left behind are the ones I'm concerned about.
Yeah, well, they get the religious minorities. The all-whitey. Is it the all-whites? Yeah, all-whites. I think 75% of Syria is Sunni, but the all-whites are part of the Shiites, which is a small one. It's like complete inverse of, remember Iraq? Saddam was a Sunni, but they were only 10% and 70%. And once the power flipped, you had an awful, deadly, bloody civil war. It's always the way it works. The same thing is happening right now. Now the Sunnis, this terrorist-ish group, they're taking power. What are they going to do to the ethnic minorities now that no longer have power? But lastly, very bad for Iran. Great for the world. Iran, Russia, horrible. This is the worst result possible for them, which makes it great.
All right, so I'm relatively happy if everything stays as is and these guys keep to their promise.
Yeah, we'll see. I bet you by the weekend, the United States will not designate them as a terrorist group. I bet you a bunch of countries throughout the world will say, you're saying the right things. We have no choice, so we'll give you a shot. And then we'll see what happens. But again,
there's a prediction for you?
Yeah, then there's the Trump factor, but that'll be part 2.
That comes in a month. All right, we're going to wrap it up there. Asa Stutz, part of the Power Hour crew. You'll be coming in and recording at some point later this week?
Yeah, Thursday night. So Friday morning, put one out for you.
Lots to keep an eye on. Enterprise Bank, breaking news again, sold to Rockland Trust Company. What does it mean for their presence in Lowell and in Greater Lowell and our other communities, but especially that huge downtown Lowell operation they have? That's to be determined in the coming days or gradually over the coming months and who knows, years. Frontrrunner City, you got to watch tomorrow night's Lowell City Council. Very, very important meeting. That what comes out of that, and then what does it lead to going forward? Maybe some of the councils will be a little bit more loose-lipped once they've had that discussion on the council floor. But again, think link, maybe bigger. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to leave it there.
I like it.
All right. Asa Stutz, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We'll do this again soon. And thank all of you for joining us on the latest My Big Fat Lowell podcast, a look at the world through a Lowell lens. Because after all, the world, the United Nations, is looking at Lowell. Who'd have thunk it? Crazy stuff. Thank you for joining us. Till next time, everybody stay safe.